Happy Thursday. Oh my goodness, guys, my days are thrown off because we started school in the middle of the week. And so I feel like today is Tuesday. But welcome to the In Love Show, where all things are love and all things are conversation. I don't know if you know, but just in case, I want to remind you that we are live on Facebook and our YouTube channel. So make sure if you're following me, which you should be, go to that link in the bio and it will take you directly there. Like and go watch those other interviews, guys. I promise you, you will thank me later. And if you have a question or a comment, don't be afraid to go ahead and chime on in because I want to have a conversation with you and I want to know what you think. Okay? What you say? Okay. Well, like I said, it is Thursday. The kiddos just went back to school. So it was only befitting that I had a very special guest tonight who cares a lot about our youth and society today. Okay. Not just today, but he has been doing this for quite a while. His name is Sebastian Sanders. He's also known as the youth principal. Now, he is a globally recognized motivational speaker, community leader, and the founder CEO of the Sanders Hand. He's based right here in Houston, Texas, and he is dedicated to empowering at-risk youth for a brighter future. Now, as a teacher, I am all for this because we need more people like him. But on top of that, he has his BA in business management, and his career has just progressed. It has grown, and he was working for some big companies, y'all, I promise you. But he felt a higher calling, and he developed a nonprofit organizations with his Sanders Hand, impacting the lives over 5,000 at-risk youth and college students in Texas and Oklahoma. Oh, my goodness, what a joy. He has programs based all over the place. He also has Universal Basic Income and Young Billionaires Club, where he is aiming to address income inequity and provide financial education to empower young individuals. But enough about him from me. I want you guys to hear from Mr. Sanders himself. So welcome to the show. Help me welcome to the show, Mr. Sebastian Sanders. Hey, Sebastian.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Thank you for having me.
No problem. You know what? Every time I hear your name or while I was prepping for your show and I'm like, Sebastian, automatically I'm like, under the sea, because
Yeah.
so that is a great thing, a great memory I've always had. And there's not a lot of Sebastians in the world. So that also is what makes you so memorable. Now, Sebastian, I just want to dive right in. You have so many accolades and you look like you just graduated college yourself. I mean, what are you eating out here in these Houston streets?
It's funny. I graduated college about 4 years ago, so I'm 26 now.
Oh, wow. Okay. And where'd you go?
So I went to University of Texas at San Antonio.
Okay. So UTSA. So you're a very smart young man. And according to your accolades, then you definitely put in the work. So I want to talk about how you left the corporate world. You were working for some really big companies and doing some great things, and you decided to step away. So why don't you tell me about your transition? What made you make that decision?
Yeah. So that transition actually happened about 4 months ago, honestly. So it's
Wow.
still new. It's still a different feeling. But when I first graduated from college, I had got my job offer for Pepsi. Honestly, I got that job offer within a year before I even graduated. So I was blessed to even spend my last year of college really just cruising because I already had my job offer. And so I relocated to Oklahoma City, spent some time there. When I first started working, I had set a goal for myself. I told myself I wanted to retire before 30 and transition on into the organization full time. But by doing so, I knew that it was going to take me still working my typical 9 to 5, but also spending my 5 to 9, my weekends and in my spare time developing this organization and spending time within it. And so when you're passionate about something, and you can see the end goal, I think the work that you put in it's definitely going to reflect itself. And so, with that being said, I knew I had to double work myself, but it was something that I really wanted to do. And so, I spent these last 4 years really just developing the organization itself, developing the programs to where we are today. And so, it was a transition that I honestly didn't see coming this year. I always thought I would hit it maybe around my 28th year, but sometimes your plan is different than God's plan. But when I knew when it was time to step away, that I was going to have to develop something that made sense. And so if I leave this corporate life where I'm protected, I have benefits and all of that, I have to make sure this organization is sustainable and ready to take to the next level. And that's what we spent the last 4 years doing. And so now that I'm in here full time, it's a different type of feeling, but it's something that I always wanted to do. So I'm living on my dream each and every day, and I know every day I wake up, I'm walking into my purpose.
Walking into your purpose. And some people underestimate that. A lot of times people are afraid to step out on their faith,
Mhm.
although they say they have it. And I know it's such a hard thing to do. And I can say I'm actually so guilty of taking too long to do it myself. And I'm glad that I finally did, because when you're walking into your destiny, you're walking into your purpose, as you say, you can accomplish many great things. And it's so interesting to hear you say, how you have these goals for yourself as such a young man, especially in this day and age. The values and the morals are not the same.
Yeah.
So, for you having such a plan and being grounded into what you want to do, and you actually are achieving that prior to the time that you set for yourself, I want to know, when it comes to goals, what is your process?
Mm. That's a really good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. I think my goals that I set for myself, my process has all, and I'm a very strategic and a person that pretty much calculates every move that I make. A lot of the times I set goals. When I first started, I was setting goals for like 5 to 10 years out. And at the time, you're trying to chase those goals that are far in the reach. But I didn't realize that sometimes you have to build the momentum up. So you have to start those small wins. And so I read this book called Atomic Habits, and it talked about how we always want to go from nothing to something super fast, but we always try to skip the process. And when you're trying to set goals, sometimes we miss out on those small goals because we feel like it's not big enough. And I changed my whole way that I process and think when I started to really just factor in that these small goals are the reasons that I'm going to get those big goals and those big wins. And so for me now, I've slowed down and tried to create metrics for myself, like end of the year goals, 6 month goals, 3 month goals, 9 month goals. What do you want to achieve in this next calendar year? And by doing so, looking at yourself at the end of the year, trying to reflect back on it. But I think your goals have to make sense of where you are in life. If you're trying to set goals where you're not in life, it can be hard, right? And it can also be at a point in time where you get discouraged because you feel like I'm not successful, I'm not doing anything. Maybe you are achieving, but you're not in that specific field of life right now, just hitting certain goals. And once you realize and you accept where you are, you start to set tangible and realistic goals for yourself.
Oh, boy, you better go minister to the people. It's a lot of people that need to hear that. A
Mhm.
lot of people that needed to hear that. But I really enjoyed how you broke that process down. And you're right. A lot of people see this and they just want to jump to the
Yep.
finish line, but there's so much groundwork to do
Mhm.
in the midst of all of that first. So
Exactly.
it's like, you have to show that you're prepared for the journey. So, and if you're not prepared for the journey, God not going to take you where you want to be until you're ready to get there. So you're going to do it the easy way, you're going to do it the hard way. But it's
Exactly.
so great to hear you wanting to take your time in the process.
Mhm.
So I'm, oh, I'm just, oh, I'm in awe already of you. Oh my goodness. And you could be my child. Now, on top of everything else, like, you're an author?
Yes, yes. I wrote my first book in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. So literally, like a month before the pandemic hit. I was planning, to do this big book launch, and then everything kind of shut down and went virtual. But I wrote my first book right after I graduated from college. Actually, I wrote my first book on how to start a nonprofit, and it's a business inspirational guide. I'm providing, business guidelines, but I'm also providing a lot of inspiration of really how I even got started as a 19-year-old college student. And so, this book for me was something that I really wanted to get out to the people to really show, the process of a nonprofit, but really show you how valuable that work is, because a lot of times nonprofit work is devalued by the community at times because people don't look at it as the most flashiest work, right? And so I wanted to really get a book out and to educate people, because everywhere I went, I was meeting kids that were telling me I want to start these organizations. And naturally, I don't have time to sit down with all of these kids, and so I was like, let me create a book to help them get their ideas off the ground. Because when I first started, I tried to find a nonprofit book and I couldn't find one. I just realized or utilized the mentors that I had in my life, and so the book was more so of a mentorship guide for anybody that's looking to start a nonprofit and create change. And so I wrote that in 2020. It was released on my birthday of 2020. In about a year, we were able to reach an Amazon educational bestseller. And so we had some really good success with the first book. And I'm in the process of now of getting my second book out, and hopefully we can get out by the end of the year.
Wow. So you really are a man that wears lots and lots of hats.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this young age, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Now, let's talk about the Sanders Hand
Mhm.
organization. You started this organization back in 2017. So
Yeah.
it is a nonprofit. You just explained the book about the nonprofit business guide.
Mhm.
So when you founded this, what were your intentions and what did you have in mind?
I always tell people when I first started, I didn't really know anything about nonprofits. And honestly, I didn't want to start a nonprofit organization. I really just wanted to do a backpack drive, back home in my community. And so I remember, calling my dad and telling my dad about it. And, my dad is my best friend, my everything. We talk about pretty much everything in life. So I take a lot of my ideas straight to him to see how he feels. And I remember him challenging me. He was saying, son, I feel like, you can do more than that. And so at the time, when you hear that, you're just trying to figure out, especially 19 and 20 years old, you're just trying to figure out exactly what that means. But me, being an ambitious person that I am, and a thinker, I went home. I was thinking all evening. I started playing 2K with my roommates. And then it came to me. I said, you know what? The name, Sanders Ham, using my last name to create a legacy. But using hand as a sort of an imagery of us lending a helping hand to the community. And so it all really started for me, while I was in college. Our first project that we ever did was actually donate to another nonprofit organization. And I know it sounds backwards when you first start something, but that donation has led into us really, being who we are today, because I donated to an organization that at the time had a CEO, Miss Kathy Hamilton, who was getting ready to transition out and start her own organization. But in the midst of her starting her own, she provided me with so much mentorship. She opened so many doors for me, that allowed us to walk into funding, that allowed us to walk into sponsorships. And so by us donating it, it opened up so many doors. And that's really how we were able to scale so fast as an organization. And when we first started, it was just me and a lot of my college buddies together. And we were just trying to figure out how can we send more minority students to college. And so we had really huge success within the first year. We set up so many kids to come to UTSA and actually get a live tour. We were hitting all the schools around San Antonio talking about college. But I started to realize that we were force feeding a message to a demographic that every kid is not going to go to college, and that's fine, right? Because everybody's success story is not going to be college. Some kids can go to the military, some kids can pick up a trade, some kids can go straight into the workforce, and some kids can even start their own business out of high school. But I realized the lack of literacy around those elements, and it all started with the lack of financial circulation. And so that's how we transitioned in 2020 to the Young Billionaires Club program. At first, our program was called Define Success, but we transitioned because I realized we were approaching a time where kids wanted to learn more about money. Because if you're working with kids that come from an impoverished area, they want to figure out, how can I improve the quality of living for my family? By doing so, how can I make more money? And that's how the Young Billionaires Club program was birthed. And that's how we transitioned into where we are today, which is a business incubator that teaches children ages 12 to 25 business and financial literacy training.
I like that. I teach juniors, right? I'm an English teacher. And
Mhm.
so oftentimes I hear, well, I don't need this class. I'm not going to college. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be doing this and that. And my question to them is like, well, how are you going to write your business plan? Do you have funding available? Do you have investors for this huge scale that you're going into? If you are not literate, and educated to know all those answers before you jump in the water, then how do you plan to swim and stay afloat? And oftentimes, they're just like, well, I haven't thought that far yet. I said, well, you're about to graduate, you leave
Mhm.
me. You have one more year left. So the time is now for you
Yeah.
to plan. I can do that after I graduate. Why? If this is what's in your heart to do, then you should be able to do it. But
Mhm.
a lot of them don't have mentors such as yourself. They're looking to social media and they're looking to the different artists, and no shade against them, but they don't know their story.
Yeah.
What they had to go through to get there. They just didn't record and became, instantaneous. So I think this is a great idea. We have a huge gap in between
Mhm.
where some kids, like you say, are not going to college. They're maybe going to the military, but they don't have a plan and they don't have the want for the knowledge to find out what they really need to do to set themselves up for
Mhm.
success. So, my next question to you is, how do you find these young men who can be candidates
Mhm.
for or eligible to
Mhm.
be in this young billionaires club?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So our program is open for male and female students, and so typically students can enter the program two different ways. One, when we partner with different school districts, organizations, youth homes, foster homes, YMCA's, YWCA's, those different organizations that house students on a typical day-to-day basis, we'll bring our programs to them and become community partners, and we'll be introduced to the students as an outside curricular program. So that's one way, and that's usually the traditional way when you're looking at an academic school year. But the summertime, you have a lot of students that are at home that are spending a lot of idle time. And so a second way students can enter the program is we send out an application email blast via email, social media, where we have students apply through our website to apply to be a part of the program. And so, that's usually in the summertime. But this year, with us opening up the store, we're going to now have students coming in from the fall and the spring. So we'll have three different cohorts: fall, spring, and summer, where we're bringing students in across the Houston, Texas, view their applications. The students that come in, they're going to actually come in and spend about 60 days with us, maybe 90 days, depending on the time frame that we have available. And they're going to spend the first 30 days inside of the classroom learning the different elements that we teach, such as entrepreneurship, financial literacy, customer service, marketing. And then they're going to transition the next 30 days into the store, where they will actually be taking everything that they learn, which is application based learning, straight to the workforce and work inside the store and learn what it is like to be a store manager, do operations for a store, supply chain, marketing, customer service. So taking that knowledge, but actually applying it, and that's the best way our kids learn, because we can teach them all day long, but if we don't put them in a setting for them to actually challenge themselves and take what they learn and actually have to do it, it's going to be hard for them to retain that knowledge. And so those are the two ways that students, typically enter our program. And so we try to make it as open as possible, right? I know a lot of times parents, may struggle with transportation issues, and so that's why the schools are really important for us to partner with, because we can take the program straight to the kids. But also too, you have opportunities where in the summertime or throughout the school year, every student is not playing sports and they need something else to do, and that's where our program comes in as a support system and brings extracurricular to their academic life.
And also, too, it's a great placement on a resume for future.
Exactly. Yep.
I think hands-on training today, you can learn a lot of stuff in the
Mhm.
classroom, but hands-on training also teaches they have what they call the tactile kinesthetic learner, where yes, you can learn by hearing, by writing, by trying to memorize, but a lot of times you need that hands-on experience.
Exactly.
And what I've learned is that when you don't have that hands-on experience, especially for this generation, then they kind of fall off by the wayside. They
Yeah.
lose
Yeah.
interest real fast, because if you're not as short as a TikTok reel, they have lost you.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that is so facts. I'm telling you, I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about these four locations. You have four locations, three in the United States and one in West Africa.
Yes, yep. And so we originally started in San Antonio, Texas, where I was attending school at the time. And so we did a lot of programming from 2017 up to about 2019. And so we have a really, really strong hold in San Antonio. We still have a lot of original board members and still a lot of team members that still live in San Antonio. So at times throughout the year, if we have the capacity, we'll do different events and programs if the opportunity permits. So San Antonio is one of those flagship locations. Houston is the home base. This is where pretty much all of the team resides and myself. And this is where we have our physical locations, such as the Young Billionaires Club thrift store. So those are our two Texas opportunities. When I spend my time in Oklahoma, we've done some programming up there as well. And so we still have the same connections and resources. And so various times throughout the year, I'll fly back to Oklahoma and do an event to support the teams out there. And then we have our newly location that we got, or whatever we opened up roughly about 2 years ago with Ghana, Africa. Opportunity permitted itself where they were just asking for sponsorship. And so we came in and we helped sponsor a spelling bee. Spelling bee was a huge success. Over 1,000 students, over 1,000 parents. I think over 50 schools got involved. Way different from the States because here our kids don't want to really participate in the spelling bee nowadays with technology. And so when they permitted
Unless
that,
it's an acronym. Get them an acronym B.
yeah,
On it.
yeah, you give them something that they can text or something like that, they'll do it fast. But traditional spelling bee is kind of lost art. And so when we came across the idea, I said, yeah, of course. And so I remember, they had a successful event. I think they had about 3 winners. And the team called me or Zoom me and asked, do you want to meet the students? I said, yeah, of course. But he was traveling to every student's home with the laptop because the students didn't have access to technology. And so then I realized, like, wow, this is a huge technology gap, way different than what we have over here. But these students are just like our kids over here, super smart. They just need the resources. And so we said, hey, how about we franchise our opportunity or franchise our organization that we have here, and you guys become Sanders and Ghana, and we are sponsor and do what we can do on our end to make this a big movement. It all came together within about 6 months, and then we found a physical location where we opened up a computer lab for our students in Ghana, Africa, to have access to technology and learn digital coding and application skills.
Wow, what a blessing. What an amazing journey that you've had so far. I only can foresee that there are going to be far more opportunities for you and your organization. And my apologies, I don't know why I made the assumption that it was only for young men, but it's so good to hear that this is also for young ladies because they're both out here it is some out here that are trying to really get the education and the information that they need to succeed. So I'm so happy about the work that you're doing in the communities and also not just in this country but in Ghana. Gosh, woo, that is so amazing. So I want to go back to the thrift store. I know that you're going to be having a grand opening on August
Yeah.
19th,
Mhm.
and it's a thrift shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love thrifting.
Okay.
I'm not so great at it. I have a
Yeah.
friend that's like super great at it, and she always has the best outfits. I'm like, girl, she's like the thrift store for $6. I'm like, $6. But
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes. So I with a name like the Young Billionaire Club Thrift Shop, all I can see is that I'm gonna finally give me a Louis Vuitton bag. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like everything in there would have been worth $1 billion, but you're selling it at thrift shop prices.
Yeah.
So what are some things we can expect in the thrift store?
Oh yeah, great question. So you're going to see a lot of quality items at a discounted price. We have a huge donor community. We're going to have a lot of new and used items, name brand items. I think we had got a few items today, and we got a bunch of already Jordans, Nikes, a lot of nice women clothing. So we have a lot of great stuff that we'll have. At a discounted price, to give back to our community. We're going to have traditional stuff, clothes, electronics, shoes, household items, bags, hats, pretty much anything. I think we got a bunch of toys, some new toys that just came in. So we have pretty much everything. And so the vision for the store is to kind of have it like shopping at Amazon in person. You go on Amazon, you see pretty much any and everything. And that's what we want to have, for the store. You can come in there, you may be looking for one item, but you may see something else that you may have need or may want. And so we want to have that real life shopping experience, but we want to, revolutionize this with the future of shopping by integrating technology. And so the reason why we named it the Young Billionaires Club right after our program, this store serves as an extension of the program. And so what that means is every customer that leaves our store is going to leave with digital assets to financial literacy lessons. So inside of your gift bag where your items that you purchase, you're going to have a QR code that you can take home and scan, and you can visit all of the Sanders Hand links, but it's going to have lessons on investing, budgeting, credit, how to start a business, how to fund your business. All those financial lessons that we teach our students, we are now opening up to the whole community to actually learn those same lessons. Reason being is because naturally you're probably going to have more parents shopping at the store, and so we've always been able to service the children, but now we're extending the program and trying to serve the parents through the store as well. And so the store is going to have an extension of that, where every customer having digital financial literacy, but it's also going to hold the place for owner job training for all of the kids that come through the program. And so we're super excited to get this open on August 19th. The tickets are available on Eventbrite. They are free, but definitely come on out if anybody in the Houston area is available. We're going to have pretty much all the stores going to be stocked. We're going to be open all day from 12 to 6. We're going to have some coupons rolling in and out. Our first 20 customers get the opportunity to buy one item, get one item free. We're going to have some really cool prices for back to school as well. And so we're super excited to have this open. And this is going to be located southwest part of Houston. And in about a year, we're definitely looking at opportunities to take it to the north side, and expand our efforts through our young people.
On over here to Spring Woodlands area, I'm going to show up because I'm
Okay.
so intrigued. And like I
Yeah.
said, I still have not got my first Louis Vuitton bag, and I am, well, I won't say holiday, but
That's
but
fun.
that is a goal of mine. I need me a designer bag, but I am so proud of you. I am so excited to see what the Sanders Hand Foundation is doing next. I think you're going to do great things. Are you thinking about expanding to any other countries?
Yeah, most definitely. We have our location in Ghana, Africa, doing really well, and so we're going to continue to build that up. But outside of what we're doing in Texas, as we continue to build this out, there's a community everywhere that needs some support and some help. And so at some point, we're going to venture outside of Texas and go and establish these Young Billionaire Club thrift stores all around the United States. And so we can't wait to see what the next 5 to 10 years look like as we continue to build, expand, and grow. But we wanted to have our name right there when you mentioned Goodwill. Goodwill have taken care of our communities for so long, and they really do a great job. But we're providing something different, a new field to thrift shopping by educating you at the same time. And so when people mention Goodwill, the goal is to have you mention Young Billionaires Club in that same sentence and talk about us and talk about the things that we're doing through our program, and through our thrift stores as well. So expansion is definitely on the horizon, and then as we continue to grow and stay consistent, we definitely plan to have more locations.
Well, that is wonderful, Sebastian. And I am going to wish you nothing but the best. I want you to continue to keep pouring back into others because that's what we're supposed to be doing. But before you go, where can they find the information, and what is your social media?
Yeah, you guys can find our information for our organization on Instagram and Facebook at SandersHand.org. You can visit our official website at www.sandershand.org. You can visit our website. You can become a monthly donor. You can reach out and set up some appointments to donate physical items to the store, or you can become a volunteer. So definitely visit our website. Follow us on social media. The grand opening is August 19th. Address is 12579 Richmond Drive, Suite 600. If you go on Eventbrite, type in Sanders Hand, you'll see our profile come up and you will see the event link. So you can grab your tickets and you can tell somebody. But definitely want to stay connected with anybody that has a heart for children and anybody that has a heart for giving. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for anybody that wants to be a community partner. And so definitely follow us, stay engaged, and we look forward to serving you all as customers on August 19th.
All right, guys, you heard it from Sebastian himself. Make sure you go check out that Young Billionaires Thrift Shop, but Young Billionaires Club Thrift Shop. I can't forget the club part. But yes, go check him out. Go support him. I mean, this is a great vision that he has, and the fact that he has been able to achieve so much at such a short time here on this earth, that is just amazing. So that means he has some knowledge, and that knowledge has really taken him places. So I want to encourage you out there that if you're not too sure what it is that you want to do, but you do need some guidance, make sure you link up with Sebastian and his crew because they're going to get you right. Okay. All right, Sebastian, I want you to go ahead and close this out. And what would be your message to those individuals that are not too certain or don't know how?
Mhm.
What would you say to them as encouragement?
I encourage anybody, if you're in that phase where you're just trying to figure things out, you don't know exactly what's your passion, what's your why. I think you have to really dig deep into your internal soul and figure out exactly what do you care about, what can you see yourself doing for the rest of your life for free, and whatever dreams that you have. If you can see it, you have to believe it, and whatever you see for yourself, you have to work every day for it and remain consistent. There's a lot of losses before you really take, wins, to be honest, when you're chasing your dreams. But you can't get discouraged because every loss is really just a lesson. If you can turn that loss into a lesson, you know not to make that same mistake or run into that same issue again. And so anybody that's on that path and just trying to figure it out, you got to figure out exactly what makes you happy. I spent, some great years with Pepsi, but I knew that wasn't, something that I wanted for myself. And there's nothing wrong with working at a corporation. I have a lot of friends that still work in corporations, but that just wasn't my path. What I'm doing now is my path. And it may not always be sunny. You may have some long days. Trust me, I have a lot of long days, but I couldn't see it any other way. And so whatever that is for you, yours may look a lot different than mine. Figure out what it is for you and work towards it each and every day. But you have to stay consistent. A lot of times, as people chase dreams and want to become entrepreneurs, the first little inconvenience that they see, they run away from it, and they're like, "No, I'm gonna go back to the work life." You're not meant for that. Then that's not your purpose. Figure out exactly what your purpose is. Remain consistent in it, and just try to stay ahead of the game and stay innovative. And anything is possible. You're never too old, and you're never too young.
Thank you. Well, I hope you encourage someone tonight. You definitely encouraged me, and I want to say thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you in person, and I
Mhm.
cannot wait to get my first bag or whatever else I find. I'm very
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
excited. Well, guys, that is it for tonight's show. Make sure you keep up with the In Love Show, where all things are love and all things are conversational, on our social media platform at the In Love Show on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned. You always know there's so much more. All right, guys. Until next time, all things love, all things conversation. Good night.